we're starting off this vlog at 7:20 on February 23rd. I hope that this video is done by the end of the month so that we can have a better reading month in March, but we're gonna see. Honestly, I've been in a slump all month. It started at like the end of January. I read 12 books in January and I feel like that was a little bit much for me and I kind of wanted to take a break for a little bit, but then I was like, okay, I'm really in the mood to read. It was February and I finished By a Thread by Lucy Score, and I think I finished it on the 5th. It's not like a slump where I'm like, okay, I really don't feel like reading anything, although nothing I'm reading is really gripping me right now, which isn't helping. I really want to read, but my house is a mess. Like you can see all of that laundry over there that needs to be folded, and you can see our partially painted wall. There's like half of one coat just in a random corner, and we just have so much stuff going on. Reading has been put on the back burner, but we're gonna take some time to read. Tomorrow is the last Saturday of the month, and that's whenever we discuss our book club read. So if you guys didn't know, I have a book club. I started it on Threads and then I made it on Fable as well. So I will have my Fable linked so you guys can join the book club if you want. We're reading tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and I'm on page 146, and I'm pretty sure there's like 500 something pages in that, and we discuss it tomorrow. So we're gonna read that book, we're gonna get out of the slump, and we shall see how long this takes. It's been 2 days since I filmed that first clip. We are still reading tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I think we started on page like 148 or something around there, and now we are on page 280. So my goal is to read until the next portion in this book, and then I'm going to do some editing. But let's just get back into this book. Honestly, it's getting kind of sad and kind of depressing. I'm about halfway through and we know what happens to this character's parents from the get-go, but you don't really know the story, and I just got to that part and I was like, oh, I'm so sad. I just finished my coffee and it is 7:41. We're gonna be up a while, so hopefully we can get a good chunk of reading done and a good chunk of editing done because I'm like buzzing right now. It is 2 nights later and I'm back with an update. I did not read at all yesterday because I was super busy all day long, and whenever I laid down in bed, I slept like a rock. I think I went to bed at like 9 o'clock and that was just it. I just laid my head here, my eyes closed, and immediately I was sleeping. I did read 2 days ago. I read a good chunk. I think I was able to read like 120 pages. Usually my kids wake up at anywhere from 7 to 7:30, but this morning they decided to wake up at 6 o'clock. So I got up and I tucked those little babies back in, and I was like, no, you need to go back to sleep. And usually that does not work. Whenever they get up is whenever I'm starting my day, but it worked. They went back to sleep and they ended up sleeping until 8. They have not slept past 8 o'clock in like over a year. So I just sat down from 6 until 8, and I was able to go from about halfway progress to, oh, my pen is not in here. Oh yeah, it is. I went from about halfway progress to that's all I have left. Daniel is on duty today, which means he is not going to come home. I hate duty days. I never sleep good whenever he's not here with me. I usually stay up really late reading on those days, and then right before bed I'll read a few chapters of the Bible. It helps me sleep so much better. I'm one for tangents whenever I vlog at nighttime. We're gonna try to finish this book. I do kind of just want to go to bed. This is just so motivating to see. I went from halfway to just, I think I have 62 pages left. I'm on page 559 and there is 622 pages, I think. So I was like, okay, 62 pages, I can get that done in an hour. I can do it. Just finished tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. What angle was that? Let's try this again. Just finished tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And I'm gonna let it sit with me for a little bit before I decide to give it a rating. Rating books whenever you're in a slump is difficult because is it me or is it the book? I don't think that this is going to be a 5-star, even though I anticipated it being one. I don't know if it's going to be for me. Whenever we finish this video and are out of this slump, I will go through and rate all of the books. I'm debating, should I pick up another book? It's 9:37 p.m. Let's just go pick out another book. It's been a while. Actually, it's been more than a while. It has been months since I started this video. But we're here and we're gonna finish it. I actually have no idea where I left off, what day it was, what I was reading. I know that it started with tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Oh, my battery's gonna die. Since starting this video, I have since read 19 books. Clearly not in a reading slump anymore. We were sick or injured all of March and all of April. So during that time, a whole bunch of stuff. I was behind on cleaning, meal prepping, painting the house. Everything was just a mess. As you can tell, my area looks a lot different. It was like a light blue color before and it was partially painted and all messed up. We have nightstands. I don't know. I think we had nightstands whenever I was filming this video, but the walls are white. I've got a little bookshelf over there. We got a chair and the laundry is picked up minus that stuff, which actually is clean. I just have to put away. And then we just have to get like a curtain to cover up our closet because we took the closet doors down because our dresser is in the way. It won't fit if we had the closet doors on, so we're just gonna put a curtain over it for now. But anywho, I'm just gonna go through and give you guys a quick, well, before I do that, tangent to my tangent. I don't think I was necessarily in a reading slump because I was not liking reading. I did read a lot of bad books before my slump, so I know that definitely aided to the problem, but honestly, it was more of like a life slump. I just had to get a better schedule. I needed to wake up earlier and make sure that I was on top of all of my house chores. I just can't get into a book if I know, like, in the back of my mind I'm itching to get stuff done. I'm just not gonna enjoy reading, and it was just a really, really busy time in life, and now things are kind of cooling down. We're getting a lot more painting done. Nobody's sick. I'm on top of everything that I fell behind on, so now I'm just gonna go and fill you in. I hope that doesn't bother you guys. Starting with tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, I don't think this is a very good book to read to try to get me out of a slump. I know a lot of people have rated it very highly, so I had really high expectations. The writing was good, but it was boring, and honestly, it wasn't my favorite book. I rated it 4 stars. Then we went to Behind the Net and The Fake Out, which I read on Kindle Unlimited. Now, already with these 2 books, things are looking up. I'm getting out of my slump right here and right now because I ate these books up. I think I read the first book in 2 days and I read the second book in 2 days as well. Now, I will say I'm not really much of a spicy romance girly. I don't mind it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to make sure it's in my books. But I'm not gonna not read it if it's in there. And I will say these are very spicy, but honestly, I enjoyed them because I think the relationships between all of the characters were very, very well established before any of that other stuff came into the picture, so I didn't mind it as much. And I gave both of them a 4.5 and I really, really loved them. And then Daniel bought me a book. He bought me The Perfect Marriage, which I rated a 3.75. It was fast paced and it was easy to read, but the writing was horrible, but like it was really entertaining. Sometimes those trashy bingeable books just hit, and that one really did hit, and I enjoyed it, although the writing was not good. Next, The Long Game. This one kind of started putting me back into a slump. Which I guess is accurate. I tried filming this yesterday, but it was just a little too chaotic, and I hope that you can hear me because I don't have the little fuzzy thing on the mic, so it might be a little loud with like the street right there. Let's find my story graph.
Then I started The Long Game. This took me a while to read. Her writing wasn't bad. It was just the story was very, very slow. It was enjoyable. I still do remember the characters and the storyline pretty well. I read a lot of books. Whenever I first started reading, I remembered a lot more than I do now. But I still remember this one, and I gave it a 3.25 because I liked it, but it was like, what was the point? Like, there wasn't really a point. It was fine, it was fun. And then I read The Hating Game and I gave it a 2.75. Honestly, it was kind of horrible. If you want this kind of vibe where they're workplace rivals, enemies to lovers kind of thing, there's other books that will scratch that itch a lot better than this one will. The writing isn't very good and there's absolutely no chemistry between the people, but it was fun, I guess. I read it because I figured out that it was a movie, which I didn't know. So we ended up watching the movie together. Also fine, but like, I honestly forgot that I read this, and I read this March 24th, so that should tell you something. And then, did I think I listened to this on audiobook because it was free on Kindle Unlimited and I ran out of my Spotify hours and I really wanted to listen to a book. So I listened to No Exit by Taylor Adams, and I really actually enjoyed this, especially as an audiobook. Instead of buying thriller books from now on, I think I'm just gonna listen to them because I'm never gonna reread a thriller. That would be a good way to like listen to it, because I don't want to buy thoughts, words, hello. I don't really want to buy them anymore because like you read it for the plot twist and you're not going to forget the plot twist and you're not going to reread it normally. So listening to audiobooks I feel like is the way to go, and I give this one a 4.25. I thought it was pretty good, and also figured out that it was a movie, so we ended up watching the movie after, and I will say I did like the book a lot better because I feel like they didn't do the ending right. You're going to get more whenever you read the book versus watch the movie because like you can get the character's internal dialogue, like she's figuring out who to trust, trying to think of how she's going to survive, and you don't get that internal dialogue in movies obviously. But really enjoyed it. That was my first Taylor Adams book, and I do want to read more by them. And then Same Time Next Year by Tessa Bailey. How about Same Time Never Again? And that's all I'm gonna say. Actually, no, it's not. This book was horrible, so bad. I was like coming off the high still of Behind the Net and The Fake Out. I was like, you know what? I just want a quick little hockey romance because I didn't have enough. Regrets. The quotes in this book, if I read them aloud to you, I would be in jail. Jail. I gave it a 1.5, but honestly, it should just be a 1. Spider? Our door. They're just bugs.
I don't like it.
Okay, me neither, I understand. And then the next book that I read was The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. She got popular with When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect, but I have also read The Cheat Sheet, and this is book 2 in that world of The Cheat Sheet. But she does have a couple of others that she's like rebranding, like redoing the covers of, and I do want to read all of them because she is one of my favorite like no spice rom-com authors. Her books are just funny and they're quirky. They're just kind of like refreshing, like a glass of cold lemonade in the summer. Like that's how her books feel if you were drinking it in a small town. Yeah, that's the vibe. And I gave it a 3.75 because it was light and fun. It was a little too...
Mommy, get this off me. There's an ant on me.
There's no ant on you. There's nothing on you. It's dirt because you're playing in dirt.
Cool. I was playing in water.
Well, yeah, but the water has dirt in it because we're outside. I don't remember what I was saying. I listened to another thriller. It was called The Spy Coast. Yet again, another scene change. We had to come inside because there's too many bugs. I left off saying that I had listened to The Spy Coast, gave it 4.25. I did enjoy it, but I would recommend it probably as an audiobook and not as a physical book because I think it might have been a little boring had I not listened to it instead of read it. And then again, I was like, okay, let's try another hockey romance, kind of in a mood. And I tried Skating the Blue Line, and this is an indie author, so I don't want to like, you know, speak poorly of it or anything. I did give it a 2.75 though, just because there were a lot of typos. I don't really like the insta-lovey accidental pregnancy tropes, so I gave it a 2.75. Yeah.
That's, I guess, all I'll say. Next, I listen to Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies. I got this as an art, and I listened to it on audiobook. It kind of gives off Finlay Donovan is Killing It vibes, a funny thriller, like a cozy mystery. I did give Finlay 5 stars. I thought it was a little bit better than this one. I gave this one 3.75. It was still enjoyable, but kind of forgettable. And then I got this as an ARC. I listened to this as an audiobook, but you bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna buy every single copy, every single edition that comes out of this book because it's one of my new favorites ever. And it's my first Catherine Center book. I've been meaning to read The Bodyguard for a really long time, but I got this as an ARC, so I was like, okay, I'll listen to this. And it's called The Rom-Commers. I put a big review on Goodreads, and usually I don't really write a lot on my reviews. I'll just kind of put my rating and put a couple of words and be done. But I loved this book. As far as romance books go, is it my favorite romance book of all time? It's up there with Beach Read. I would have to reread Beach Read because I read it a long time ago, but this book actually comes out in hardcover on my birthday on June 11th, so I'm going to be making a Barnes trip. I'm going to secure it and I'm going to reread it. Like, I already want to reread this book. I loved it so freaking much. There's no spice. The banter and character evolving, the family aspects, like, oh my gosh, this book made me cry. It made me cry. It's called The Rom-Commers and it made me cry. And I guess that's all you need to know, and I gave it 5 stars. And think everybody needs to read it when it comes out on my birthday. For my birthday, I want you to buy this book and I want you to read it. Thank you very much. Getting that 5-star feeling again was what kicked me out of my slump fully, and me having some time to get my life together. I finished reading it April 27th, which was the time that everybody started feeling better and I was on top of the laundry and the dishes and stuff like that. That coupled with finding my first 5-star of the year, like, it was practically May and I had not had a 5-star read at all. Really, that cured it. Really, that cured it. And then I read A Dawn of Onyx because it was was it April? Yeah, it was our April book club book, which again, if you're not in my book club, it is free. It's on Fable. We read A Dawn of Onyx and I am pleasantly surprised. I know Ashlyn really likes this book, so I was like, if she likes it, I'm gonna like it too. Like, we have very similar book taste. And so I read it and unsurprisingly, I loved it. I gave it a 4.5 and would highly recommend it if you like romantasy with little spice. After that, I finally finished reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I was very, very conflicted with this rating and I want to change it, but I feel like I shouldn't change it. The story was slow and this book is pretty hefty. Like, it doesn't look like a big book, but the pages are really tall, like a hardback instead of a paperback, even though my edition is a paperback, and the words are very close together. Like, there's a lot of information on the page and there's a lot of pages. So I think this was our March book club book, if I remember correctly. I finished this May 9th and I was like, I'm probably gonna give this a 3.5, 4 because her writing, undeniably beautiful. It is lyrical and mysterious, and just like her prose is beautiful. And I felt like I couldn't give it anything lower than a 4, but like, do I really want to give it a 4? Because it's taken me 2 months to finish this book, and I can binge a book in a day if I want to. I would just have to get up really early and stay up really late. I guess it doesn't help that this was like my before bedtime book, which usually takes me a little bit longer to read, especially if it's a slower book like this one. And while that proved to be true because it took me 2 months to finish, once I got about 70% in and we meet a certain character, things were picking up for me. I understand why it was slow because you're going over 300 years of Addie LaRue's life. To get to know her, to understand all she went through in a span of 300 years, it's gonna be slow. Like, you know, and I get why, which is why I rated it 5 stars. Because at the end of this book, I was crying. The dedication in the book, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. Sobbing, stop it. I had to give it 5 stars, and I still, to this day, since finishing it, don't want to rate it 5 stars because of how long it took me to read. I thought about not finishing it. Like, I shouldn't give a book 5 stars if I had those feelings, but I'm sorry, I have to give it 5 stars. If you have time and you want a book that you gotta chew and digest and that has a beautiful prose and an ending that will just
leave your heart shattered, but then put back together again, but still shattered. Like this, I loved this book. After that, I really needed a quick book. Quick little easy read, and I picked up A Promise of Peridot because my mommy bought me this book because we both really liked A Dawn of Onyx, and I got the arc of the third book, but I didn't have the second book yet, and she just sent it to me like immediately, and I'm very thankful for that. So I gave this one also 4.5. I want to give these 5 stars. I do. And I might, but as of right now, it's a 4.5 just because for a fantasy, these are really easy. Like if you are a beginner into fantasy, I would recommend these. If you liked Fourth Wing, but want something with better writing, I think these have better writing than Fourth Wing. I liked the plot and like the fast pacedness of Fourth Wing, but the writing honestly wasn't good. And like the relationship development between Violet and Xaden, I'm sorry, but what was that? It has so much potential, okay? It had so much potential. This is how you develop a relationship, and this writing is a lot better. The world building is so simple, yet it's complex. Like there's a lot going on, but it's simple and easy to understand. So if you're wanting to get into fantasy or romantasy, I definitely would recommend these. Gave it a 4.5. I don't want to say anything at all because this is book 2 in a trilogy, and I don't want to spoil anything that happens in the first book if you guys haven't read it yet. I read the first chapter of book 3 because I have the arc on my Kindle and I'm loving it. No shocker there. And then, what do you know? I had no 5-star reads. I end up rating the rom-commers a 5 stars, and then Addie LaRue a 5-star. And then not only did I find another 5-star read, but I found, dare I say it? Yes, I'm gonna say it. Undeniably, my new favorite book of all time, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. The way I sobbed, fully ugly crying, had to put the book down multiple times, not just once at the end, which of course I cried at the end, but like even in the middle, like I was just crying so bad. If a book can make me feel that, oh my gosh. My Goodreads review stands. I have no words, literally just tears. Infinity stars. Everybody needs to read this book, especially if you are a woman. I think you would extra like it. I did not think I was gonna like this because this was my first historical fiction, and that's not a genre that I ever read or really want to read, but this is one of those books that it's like if you're not in the mood to read it, it doesn't matter, it will put you in the mood to read it. It is emotional, so emotional. It's not boring. It's almost like you're reading a thriller because you're on the edge of your seat. Are they gonna get caught? What's gonna happen? You're always never feeling safe while reading it. It's the best book I've ever read, and it's becoming a movie, and honestly I don't know if I can watch it because I don't want to cry like that. Honestly, it was so good though, and you guys need to read it if you haven't already. Her writing is wonderful, but it's easy to read. It's not hard to digest or anything. It's just beautiful. It will be haunting, and then all of a sudden there's like heartfelt quotes, and then there are heart-wrenching quotes. Like you are just always going on a roller coaster. Really, my thoughts are, I will never have coherent thoughts on this book. I just want to cry. Moving on before I actually do cry. Actually, also, if you're in a slump, I feel like this book would pull you out of it because I feel like there's just no denying that you have to enjoy this book. Her storytelling, like her writing is easy. Her storytelling, masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. Next, I listened to this. Actually, this book comes out on May 28th. It's the 24th today, and I'm probably not gonna have this video edited and uploaded within 4 days because I just don't have that kind of time, and I'm still learning how to edit, and I'm not very fast. But this book comes out May 28th. It's called If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay, and I listened to this on audiobook, got it as an ARC, and I did enjoy it. I would recommend it. I gave it a 3.5. I listened to this in a day. I just woke up, started it, did all of my house chores, listened to it throughout the day, and by the end of the day I had it finished. It was good. It didn't necessarily have me on the edge of my seat, but it was a good story, and I would recommend it if you are, like I said, just looking for something quick and easy to listen to or read. It was a fun one. As Good as Dead, the third and final book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. Technically a quartet because there's like a little prequel novella, but I think is technically technically classified as a trilogy. I gave it a 4-star. It was fun. It was entertaining. If you have ever read a Holly Jackson book, you know her writing is just so fast paced. I was saying in the video, like, why did we get this big reveal halfway into the book? Like, what else are we gonna do? There's like hundreds of pages left and we already know who the serial killer is. Well, honey, I'm just gonna say that this was a good book. I don't want to spoil anything. I was hoping for a little bit more from Ravi and Pip in terms of like depth. Like, I feel like they're kind of shallow characters and it's more about the plot, which is most of the time what happens whenever you read a thriller. You read it for the plot, not the characters. But it's a trilogy, you know, maybe we could go a little deeper there, but I still gave it 4 stars, so I obviously really enjoyed it. That has been my reading journey since this slump. So it officially ended. Let me check the date. When did I listen to the rom-commers? Because that's whenever I was like, okay, we're out of the slump. April 27th. So it is a month later and I can officially say that I'm still not in a slump. I'm currently reading Funny Story and it's taken me a really long time to read because I just got some tabs. Let me show you. I have my little annotating jar on my Christian shelf down here and I got a bunch of these tabs. I don't necessarily have to scribble in my books if I don't want to. If it's a paperback, I don't mind. I would underline quotes like it's my books. They're gonna be my books forever, you know, kind of thing. So if I want to flip back and find a quote, I would always underline it. But I like this better because I take one of these off and I put it on the inside flap of the cover and I label it with what it stands for. So like this could be plot, this could be writing, this could be romance, yellow could be banter, whatever. That way, whenever I look at the spine, if I want to find a quote, I know specifically what color is what and I can find it much easier and I don't have to color in my books. Really excited that I have those. And I am going through and tabbing Funny Story. I just love Emily's writing. Emily Henry. Emily like I know her. Emily Henry. Her writing. Masterpiece. Masterpiece. Love her writing and I just want to savor it. It's not a book that I want to binge. It's a book I want to savor. And I'm also reading A Reign of Rose, which is the 3rd book in the A Dawn of Onyx trilogy. It's the last one, so I'm honestly kind of sad and I'm scared. I'm scared to know how it's gonna end because of the prophecy. Officially out of the slump. And thus this video ends. Literally, outros are my weakness. I feel like I babble too much. So I'm just gonna say thank you guys for watching. If you guys are also in a slump, you will get out of it. Mark my words. If I got out of my horrible slump, you guys can get out of yours too. Just keep chug-a-lugging, listen to an audiobook, get some cleaning done, and it will pass with time. Thank you guys for watching. Please, before you go, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Hopefully the next one won't be so chaotic, but honestly, no promises. Bye!